welcome to Baha'i Focus. Baha'i Focus is a local production of the Baha'i community in Carbondale. Today we have a very special guest with us, a very special friend of mine from Germany. Her name is Sonhild Steimle. Welcome, Sonhild.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Well, why don't you start by telling us how you first heard about the Baha'i faith?
Well, my parents have been Baha'i ever since I was born, so I have had the privilege of having a Baha'i education. But I want to say for myself that I am a Baha'i because I believe in it and because I made the independent investigation of the truth, and I found this out for myself.
And so you're saying you're Baha'i because this is what you believe and what you chose, and not simply because this was the religion of your parents.
Exactly, that's what I...
So, well, actually, I don't know how many people know it. It's kind of rare, actually, or not very common to have second-generation Baha'is. Can you tell us a little bit how your parents became Baha'i, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Well, my mother is originally from Great Britain, and she came to Houston, Texas to work in a hospital as a physical therapist. And she heard of another physical therapist about this who happened to be a black woman. This was 25 years ago, and after some months she declared to be a Baha'i herself, and my father is German, and he became Baha'i in Germany.
Okay, so how did your parents meet then if your father was in Germany and your mother was in the United States?
Uh-huh. Well, the American Baha'is asked my mother to pioneer to Switzerland, and it happened to be a Baha'i conference in Switzerland where my father went to, and there they met, and so on.
So, magic ever since, huh?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about some of the activities the Baha'i community has in Germany, some of the things you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, as you might know, Germany is not a very, very big country, but we have a little more than 2,000 Baha'is, and since everything is very close together in Europe in general, we have a lot of contact among the Baha'is. Almost everyone in Germany knows each other, all the Baha'is from the huge conferences, and we have different activities from competitions in school about writing something about peace to youth conferences discussing different topics, and then the adults do different things too.
Sounds interesting. I think maybe I should also mention that I was in Germany for a year and a half. I was in the Army for 2 years and was stationed over there for a year and a half, and that's where I really first heard about the Baha'i faith. And I say that's where I first heard about it. I might have heard about it before, but never really paid any attention to it. And while I was there, I also became a Baha'i. And I've been to several of the meetings before, and it's like you say, a lot of the Baha'is over there know each other. And we also even did some things with some of the Baha'is in France.
Right. We have a lot of activities between countries, and you didn't say that you actually declared in Belgium.
True. We were at the European Youth Conference and was in Belgium, and I don't know, before I had been reading so many of the books on it and had actually decided myself that this was true, but I don't know, it was one of these things that seemed it was just a little too good to be true, and I finally, at this point, decided that, hey, if I really believe this, I might as well declare and say that I do actually accept this, and this is what I believe. And I don't know, it seems my life has changed ever since. I think I was lucky in the fact that when I found out about the faith that I found out about from you, that I was in Germany, being in the Army, a lot of times I had a lot of time to read and study it more in depth, but a lot of people might think that would be hard being in Germany since I'm an American and I don't know German, but we're lucky because your mother being English had so many books in English that I could read, so I could always get them from you to read.
That's true.
And so we also went to London while we were there and met some Baha'is there also.
Right. The guardian of the cause is buried in London, so we went to see the grave.
We went to see the grave of Shoghi Effendi, the grandson of Abdul Baha, who was the guardian of the Baha'i faith. Let's see. While we were there, we also in London we went to see the building of the National Spiritual Assembly meets in London, and a room where Abdul Baha stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Abdul Baha is the son of Baha'u'llah, who is the founder of the Baha'i faith.
And while you were in Germany, to come back to Germany, we went to see the temple. So far, there are 6 temples. In every continent of the world, there is one. And for Europe, it happens to be in Germany. And
where is it at in Germany?
It's close to Frankfurt. Everybody knows that from the airport.
Uh-huh.
It's not very far away, and once you get close, you see it because it's very big and very nice. And maybe I can explain a little bit that we have a service in the house of worship every Sunday where things from all of the Holy Scriptures are read, parts of the Quran, the Bible, then the Holy Scriptures of the Baha'is. And maybe in addition I can say that there is no interpretation of the Scriptures, just reading. Mm-hmm. And local spiritual assemblies in Germany share this privilege of reading there, and it also helps for the German Baha'is to get to know each other at the temple.
Mm-hmm. And we made several trips there, and I think one of the fascinating things to me was that at the bookstore they had books in English, and so I was always waiting to go so I could buy some more books. But now we've also been to the House of Worship in Wilmette, Illinois.
Right, on the first day.
The first day here.
Of my stay in the United States, we saw the temple in close to Chicago, and it's very, very beautiful too.
Like it there?
Mm-hmm.
You flew into Chicago.
Chicago, just for that purpose, actually.
Right, so I picked you up there so we could go see that. So the Baha'is in Germany, I know they have, when I was there, they had several youth meetings, especially among the younger Baha'is that seemed to be very active.
That's true.
And we always had the youth meetings in Esslingen.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is the house where Abdul Baha stayed.
That's right. When Baha'u'llah was on his European tour in 1912, he visited this, and actually I'm living close to Stuttgart, and Stuttgart has the oldest Baha'i community of Germany, and Abdul Baha was dedicating this house where he stayed to the youth of Germany, and this is why we have youth meetings there, and everybody in Esslingen knows about the Baha'is, therefore.
Yeah, like I said, it seemed to me that the Baha'i youth were very active. This is also because we made so many meetings, went to so many meetings and youth meetings with them. They would often have what they called a youth weekend, and in Germany they have a youth hostel system, so they would often go to a different town. They could all stay in a youth hostel there, and would have meetings and teachings during the day, and maybe in the afternoons visit the city where we were at and see the sights. And also then in the evening often played games, and we did some teaching too sometimes. I remember we went to Swingenberg, was the name of this town, and we stayed in a youth hostel there. And this was very interesting because the same night we were there was a group of exchange students from the United States who had come over to Germany, and it was one of their first days or so in Germany, and they were going to be soon going out to the different cities where they were going to be staying with the different families, and they were starting to ask them, the people, who we were while we were there, and some of the friends. A friend of mine, Varga, was talking to them, a friend of ours. And then I remember coming up the stairs, and Varga immediately pointed me out and said, here's an American, he can explain everything to you. And I was, I thought it an amazing coincidence that I was here in this, at the same time, here in this youth hospital at the same time as an American soldier with a group of Americans. And we had 2 or 3 people who were very interested after several questions. So, you've been to the States before, correct?
Right. I have lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 1 year, and I did this through an exchange program. And one of the questions signing up for this program was if you were willing to stay in a family which has a different belief, a different religion. And I did not want to be preoccupied, so I crossed the no, and I came to a traditional Southern Baptist family. And I stayed there for 1 year and participated in all their church activities. And I have to say, this confrontation with the Christian belief in such a strong way helped me very much to find out more about my own religion, because in the Bible it is pointed out so often that Jesus Christ will come again, and this is what we believe has happened.
It's true. I was raised as a Roman Catholic, and there were so many things in the church that to me didn't make any sense or seemed to be in conflict with the science today or something. And whenever you'd ask for an explanation, a lot of times you would get a quote that didn't really seem to apply to me, and then also the, well, you're supposed to believe, and that's the way it is. And I found it hard to believe, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense. I mean, this, science says one thing, and then you're saying the Bible says another. And this is one of the principles of Baha'i faith, is that there is, unity between religion and science, and that there really is only one truth, and it explains how these two can exist harmoniously, and that the Bible is, a lot of teachings in the Bible are relative, are not literal, but they're like parables trying to teach you how you should act. And
like symbols.
Right, it's symbolism, and a lot of things in over 2,000 years, a lot of these symbols have become more important than what they represented, I think. And I know in the Catholic Church there's a lot of ritualism, which we don't have at all in the Baha'i faith. We try to stay away from any kind of ritualism.
That's right. I could never understand why the Baptists said that you have to be baptized your whole body, and then other parts of the Christian church say it has to be a little bit on the forehead, and others don't do it at all. And we in Baha'is stay away from such things because we see them as symbols, which are not necessary anymore today.
Right, the baptism was an outer symbol to represent, the inner cleansing or inner change that a person that had undergone, and this is like an outer cleansing to represent this.
Right.
So, trying to think now. Okay, well, we've talked about one of the basic teachings of Baha'i faith, which is the unity of religion and science. Another one of these is the unity of mankind, that mankind is one, or race unity. So Baha'is believe that no one race of man is any better than the other, and that, like flowers in a garden, so to speak, the differences are what make us all beautiful, and that Baha'is teach not unity in sameness, but unity in diversity, and that we should come to not look upon the things that make others different as something bad, as something that we can learn from, because the different races, a lot of them are better in some things than some of the others.
That's true. Like I said, because my parents were always Baha'i, I was raised with Turkish families and Persian families, and it never occurred to me that they might be different or something like this. And the first time I was really noticing this was actually here in America with their racism, but I see that there's a lot of progress and it's changing fast.
I believe you were telling me a story about your mother when you said that she found out about Baha'i faith from this black woman, and that she invited all these people over one time, and they were like, "Did you hear? She invited these black people over or something."
That's true. We also believe that deeds have to be the ornaments of the people and not only words, so we try to show the unity through deeds, and that was one way of showing.
Let's go on to another principle, perhaps equality of men and women.
There's no more to add.
Baha'is believe in this, that it might not be it's not a physical equality because there are differences, but mentally and in the ability to do these kind of things, that men and women are equal.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they necessarily have to have the same work to do. In Germany, there's a huge feminist movement, like the women which wear skirts are, considered conservative and so on. But we don't think that women have to wear pants now and go out and become plumbers or something. But that the work is different, and the women do get the children after all, but then what they do has to be considered as equal.
Yes. I believe Abdul Baha said that has mankind as a whole that we can learn from women, and the fact that they seem to be a little more spiritual than the men are. We have something to learn maybe a little bit from them.
Yes, more intuitive.
He also said that that men and women are like the two wings of
a bird.
And that if both the wings aren't equally strong and equally developed, then the bird cannot fly straight. Okay. Well, do you have another favorite principle you want to talk about?
Maybe yes, that the Baha'is do propose a world auxiliary language, which every person should learn in addition to his mother language for a better communication. And it is not said yet which language this will be, if it is which is already existing or if it's one that will be made up. But we believe a lot of the misunderstandings between people, especially also between the East and the West Bloc, are because of language problems.
I find it's especially true. I can really relate to this, having gone to Europe and lived in Germany for a year and a half, and several times just not being able to understand anything at all what was going on. It was a really strange, a really different experience. For example, we would often go to the youth meetings or something, and you were always my translator, so I could understand some conversational things I got to at the end. I could always pick up on, but
you're pretty good now.
Oh, yeah, but maybe. But like you said, it would be nice just to have a universal auxiliary language in addition to your other language. We're not trying to say we should have just one language and all the other languages should disappear. It's, again, you would have your mother language of your country, this mother tongue, and so this would help you keep your different customs, and so much like with the different races, you keep your different histories and everything in common. But imagine being able to go to any country in the world and being able to communicate with anyone you see, just because you know your language and one other language, and they know that same other language that you know. It would be just so wonderful. And because of this, you could learn so much more about other countries, so much easier.
Yeah. I wanted to apply to become a translator for the United Nations, and they sent me their information sheets, and it said you have to be fluent in Arabic, Chinese, Russian, and then English and Spanish or French. And I thought it's not really necessary to speak, so many languages if everybody would know one common one.
One other language.
That's right.
So that okay, well, we've talked about some of the principles. You're here in the States actually now, kind of visiting me, but you'll be going back to Germany to work some, and then you're going to begin your studies. Where are you going to study at?
In South America, in Bolivia. I will have to learn Spanish a little more than what I know now to be able to. And I picked South America first because I'm very interested in development aid. And, well, maybe this is second, and first is that it's a Baha'i university which teaches according to the principles. And maybe here I can point out a little bit that it's very different to, for example, the German education system, where people are learning to be better, to distinguish themselves from others, to have better positions, which, causes them better payment and so on, but not for having knowledge for sharing it with the others. And the university in Bolivia teaches because knowledge is very important, not for oneself, but also to share with the other people, and that's what I am planning to do.
I find that true a little bit here, that they always teach you how to get ahead, to make yourself a better candidate for the job.
Yeah.
So that you can get the better job and you can make better money.
That's
and you'd like to, the Baha'i faith would be teaching more on a spiritual level at a Baha'i university, so you could learn how to use your knowledge to help other people.
Right. And maybe a different way of learning, more in a consultative manner, because we believe all kinds of decision making should not be from one person who gets his will, and the others to obey this, but in a group consultative way.
Which is probably the best way. I mean, just talking will help problems so much more than like now between, say, the United States and Russia, when they don't talk at all. If you're talking, at least you're going forward, as opposed to just stagnating or maybe even going backwards.
Yeah.
Excuse me, go ahead.
I just want to say that Abdul Baha said something very nice about this decision making, that everybody has his opinion, but he should give it away and put it on the table like he would put a card on the table. And once it is there, everybody should pick the best one, no matter where it came from, and regardless of, of the person that is attached to this opinion. I think that's very important.
Sounds wonderful. We're back now. We've got about 4 minutes left. We've got an added little guest with us. His name's Peter Smith, and today's his birthday.
Yeah.
How old are you, 11?
Yeah.
11. Happy birthday, Peter. We're talking about some of the different principles of the Baha'i faith. And we'd like to mention that all these principles are leading to what is one of the main goals of the Baha'i faith, which is world peace and world unity. And Baha'is believe that world unity is a step beyond world peace, that world peace is an end to war, and that all the weapons that we have that are for destruction we won't need anymore, and that unity is when we pass beyond peace and into a state of true brotherhood and love for our fellow man.
Right.
So, hi, Peter.
Hi. Well, maybe I wanted to add that in Germany, when people tell me this is, it sounds too good to be true, but tell us the bad things, what can't we do, because it's a religion, so it has to have laws. And then I try to explain them that all the laws, which have as the final goal the world unity, are made for people living together in more harmony, and that God didn't send messengers to be strict and punish the people, but for helping them to carry forward civilization.
And that these laws change from time to time as mankind grows and changes and develops, much like as each man as an individual grows up from a child. As we develop the laws that affect us, or the rules maybe our parents have for us, change. Is that true, Peter?
Can you stay up longer
Now
now?
you're 11, can you stay up any longer? No?
Doubt it.
You doubt it. But as a child grows and develops, so mankind also has grown and developed, and as the needs of society change, so the social rules of religion change. But it's the other rules, the spiritual rules, the spiritual laws that remain the same, and that are always wanting to try to get us to work towards unity and towards love for our fellow man, the golden rule.
Yes, it is proclaimed in every world religion as the best way for living together is to do to the others what you would do to yourself.
Mm-hmm. And as Baha'is, we're taught that we should actually maybe do more for the others. We should pick for them what we would want for us, or to rather, try to treat them better than we would even treat ourselves.
That's right, and we believe maybe this is even progressing, since the Baha'is don't have the claim to be the absolute thing for all ages, but just God's word for our age, for our time.
I'd like to mention that we're talking earlier about a universal auxiliary language. Can you say a little something for us, and maybe give them a reason or an idea of why we might need this?
Yes, just anything in German.
Just anything in German is fine.
Gut, also ich möchte mich bedanken, dass ich heute Abend hier war, und es war sehr schön, dass ihr alle zugeguckt habt, und ich hätte gern, dass Leute nach Deutschland kommen und Deutschland kennenlernen, so wie es der Philipp gemacht hat. Vielleicht ein bisschen die Sprache lernen auch, und ich lade alle ein, mehr über die Baha'is-Sache rauszufinden, weil ich glaube, dass das wichtig und richtig ist für uns alle. Und wenn ihr nach Wilmette kommt, dann sollt ihr den Tempel angucken, und sonst in Frankfurt ist der Tempel für Deutschland.
Okay. You didn't understand. We're just talking about that she's thanking all of you for tuning in tonight and watching, and inviting you, if you come to Germany, to be sure and come and visit. She's offering a welcome to anyone. Also saying that you can learn the language, and if you learned another language, how much easier it would be to understand the people. Or if we all had one other language, how much easier it would be to understand everything. And she also invited you to find out more about the Baha'i Faith. And if you'd like to find out more about the Baha'i Faith, you can check in the Carbondale Library, or if you're a student at Morris Library, you can check with the Baha'i community here in Carbondale. We have the numbers in the phone book. And there's also a Baha'i club at the university. You can check with some of the members there. And I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and for Baha'i Focus, and for Sonhild. Thanks. And Peter.